Hi guys, it is Ninbrit Nakonala, that saucy British guy that does YouTube with the junky ass room. Whichever one you want to call me, I'm fine with it either way. Happy New Year! So, I wanted to say before I go back to school that I am going to start trying to do these again, and I know I've said this so many times before. I'm actually going to try to keep up with these. So, I figured, New Year, new series. So, this time we're going to do a new one called Log Horizon, and I know that came out like November of last year, but bear with me. Alright, so Log Horizon is based off the premise of being trapped in an MMORPG, which is pretty much being trapped in a video game, for those who don't speak internet jargon, which you're watching the internet, so anyway. So these guys are trapped in a video game, and there's little Easter egg hints and all this stuff within it, like what's going on in the outside world, but there's not so much of it. The main guy's name is, and I'm going to look at my notes because I always get this wrong, and I've gotten it wrong. Oh, bloody hell. Well, if his name comes back to me, oh, Shiro, sorry. His name is Shiro. So the story is kind of like, it starts out on the similar premise of Sword Arts Online, which I probably have to do a review about that too, since it's one of the reviews I did last year, but c'est la vie. So, yeah. So he's trapped in the video game, or Dot Hack, if any of you guys remember that old game or old series. I'm going to take my glasses off because right now I'm reflecting. So, the premise is, like I've been saying and rambling about, they're trapped in a video game. But they don't know how they're trapped in a video game, why they're trapped in a video game. In fact, the little Easter egg that I was talking about is the fact that Shiro actually took his helmet off and presumably went to sleep. But when he woke up, he was in the video game. So how exactly Shiro got from sleeping without his helmet on to the video game is kind of unknown. But what is known is that this mysterious expansion, this whole new land that they unveiled, and the level cap being raised, was the thing that just got released when people were getting trapped inside. Now, nobody knows who the big evil of the series is. In fact, at this point, I think it's actually reaching the end of Series 1. I'm sorry, Season 1. And so, what is going to end up happening is that we're going through, and bad me, I haven't been watching the series completely the way through. I think I stopped around episode 12, but as I usually do, these are usually my first impressions of the series. The series itself is interesting. Now, for those of you who've watched Sword Arts Online, you may not find it as interesting. There's not so many fights in this one, as there is a lot of chatter, there's a lot of talking. On top of that, you have a lot of what makes MMOs. So instead of this being one eclectic hero going through, saving the day, swiping his sword around, you have Shiro, who is a magician with two subclasses, which wouldn't really think, the way that they describe it in the anime, are two classes that are great at solo combat. But the great thing about Sword Arts Online is it feeds into the premise that this is a mass multimedia role-playing game. That's essentially it is. And so in the likeness of those things, you have tanks, you have healers, and you have DPS, damage per second, people who basically deal the damage. So they actually combine all these into the anime, so you don't have one person just swiping through, kind of like Sword Arts Online at their singular goal. You have a team about doing pretty much the same thing as they did that. Which is pretty cool, because one of the things I liked about it was the fact that it integrated it. It meshed very well with the graphics. That there is this interface that these guys go through. They can't log out. That's the first thing they try to do. They log out, call their friends, and do all this other stuff. But eventually, they have to get down to combat. Instead of going through and saying, okay, I need this, I need that, da 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 da, they're feeling out the moves. So it's natural for them because they have to learn it, and then they're teaching other people to do this and rambling. All right, so in all of this, they come up with a problem, because in the first few episodes, instead of, I mean, the first episode is the mass panic. Everybody's like, oh my god, we're trapped in a video game. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? It's great and all, but then it gets past it, and you're just like, oh, okay, that actually flowed very well. And it gets past it in a way that if you've seen series like Dot Hack or Sword Art Online, and you've read the premise of being trapped in a video game or anything like that, it's smooth. It's a smooth transition. You're just like, I'm trapped in a video game. What's my next move? What do I do? The panic has overgone. So you've got all these people trapped in a video game, and then, you know, all the people start huddling together because, you know, in an apocalyptic situation, that you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to run around screaming your head off until you get eaten, or you're going to find people that you know and try to work something out. In this case, they did the latter. And so the first, well, no, it was the second episode, they launched into this rescue mission to find this girl, and for some reason she's in another sick part of it, of the game, which represents the entirety of Japan's continent, which is fun and all. I mean, they have to go by Griffin, they go by walking, horseback as well, and they're doing all these things and having these grandiose adventures, meeting these really, really scary monsters, which you wouldn't think are scary if you're looking at it through a screen, but when you kind of face up to it, it's not so impartial, I guess the word would be. That there's a certain level of integratedness in there. It's not a word, but I'm making it up. So that is pretty much the synopsis of it, of the first few episodes. Now, if we're talking about the series in general, the series, it is intriguing. There is a lot about the series that makes it interesting. I mean, just like Sword Art Online, people are worried about how they're getting out of the game, how they get in the game, how they get trapped in there, and what they're going to do afterwards. But what sets it apart for Sword Art Online and sends it into a completely new dynamic, the Sword Art being here and Log Horizon being over here going this way, is the fact that people find out they can die, which seems like a minor thing. I mean, they could die in Sword Art Online, but they can come back. They res. There's a res point. And that sets the story in a new direction, because now people aren't worried about dying. It becomes a story about something else. And instead of the story being leaning towards, we've got to get out of here, people are dying, it's, what are we going to do now? People, I mean, we can die, but we just come back. So it's not really that bad. We just fall asleep and then wake up in the cathedral. So you just kind of wonder, like, what's going to happen next? And while it's fun to participate in that, it becomes the case where the regular plot of what's going on, how do we get out of here, what about our bodies, becomes the kind of subplot. It becomes this giant group of people who everybody knows. They disbanded, but they weren't the official guild. But Shiro, who was one of the members of Tea Party, or Debauchery Tea Party, I forgot the name of it, forgive me, is the leader of this now new group called Log Horizon, and he's going about saving the day and doing all this fancy stuff while you have this over-the-top pervert, which is pretty much the only way to describe him, who is one of two things. He's like, you're either an open pervert or you're a closed case pervert, and some of his jokes do go a bit far, but then that's why you have, oh my god, I can't remember her name, Atsuki? That's probably not it. But she usually is there to pretty much level him, and will always act before she questions it. And while it gets a little old, it's never not funny to a degree. I guess that's the correct way of saying that. Anyway, so that's what you have. You end up having this long debate about where the story is going, because there seems to be no explicit hurry for these people to get out of the game. In fact, they seem to be more so settling into the world rather than trying to escape it. And that's the purpose of the first series. It seems to like spin its wheels a lot, but I mean, it's entertaining. It is greatly entertaining, so I will not say that that is not the case. It is more so the case you just don't know where the story is going, whether they're going to try to get out of the game or are they going to stay in it. It's hard to say. Now, the other thing I'll talk about is the entrance. The entrance to the series is beautiful. I love Database, the opening song to it. It's very catchy, very hooking. The art is pretty much on par. If I had to say one thing about the art, it's the characters are very much like you would get in a character creation screen when you're creating characters for an MMO or any video game for that matter, be it Dragon Age, I know I'm throwing Dragon Age out there, or World of Warcraft, Elder Scrolls, any of those games where you can actually create the character you're going to play. But you get this kind of generic feel to these. People don't exactly look alike, but at the same time you get this feeling that, okay, you can only have these parameters for people. Women are going to look like this, men are going to look like this as a generic standpoint, and that's it. But the backgrounds, the enemies, the fights, pretty much everything except for the characters looks fairly decent. It is actually very beautiful to look at. Other than that, I mean, there's really nothing much to talk about. I mean, that's a series in a nutshell. Impressions of it. I mean, Log Horizon sets a great setup in the sense that it's very fun to watch. You just don't know where it's going. I'd give it 4 out of 5 stars, as I've seen it on Crunchyroll, so that's really where I'm getting this from. And I just want to know where they plan to go with this. Is there going to be a session where they face this big evil that's trapped them in the game? Is it the new expansion, something that does with that has triggered some kind of malfunction in the system that has trapped the consciousness of people inside the game, and they can only do that to escape the game by defeating the giant evil at the end of the expansion? Things to know, things to project and guess at. Anyway, this has been me, Cellular Brit. Oh, hey, that is the name of my channel, isn't it? Yeah, no, it's been so long. And my junkie room behind me. And I'm glad at least you guys have spent this time looking at it with me. So, if you haven't checked out Log Horizon, do yourself a favour, check it out. If it's not your thing, just check it out just for the sake of saying, oh, I watched one episode and it was beautiful. I think that's pretty much about it. That's all I really want to watch now. It's a beautiful series, yeah. Anyway, as for me, I think I will give it a little bit more of a go and try to watch from episode 12 to the end of the series as it is right now. Like I said, if you haven't seen it, check it out on crunchyroll.com. I know, shameless advertising. And hope to see you guys soon. Hopefully with more reviews on different series. Actually, it will be more reviews on different series, yeah. I'm going to try to go back to the past ones, but I'm also going to try to kick out some of the future ones, alright? Okay. Take care, guys. Till next time, keep laughing, keep smiling, keep reading, keep watching, and keeping the awesome otakus that you are. Peace.